Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you new here, my name is Donna, and for those of you not new, thank you so much for continuing to come back and support my channel. I appreciate all of you so very much. Today I'm doing a video I actually saw from a channel named Mandy Lea. She is somebody who I have just recently started watching pretty consistently, but she is kind of a larger channel, much larger than me for sure. And she did a video talking about her top 5 eyeshadow formulas. And I loved that idea and really wanted to bring it to my Vlogmas platform this year. I think that if many of you who have been around my channel for very long know me very well, I guess, you could probably guess quite a few of these, but then beyond that, I'm just not sure. If you watched my palette collection video, you might be able to see, just because I have more of a completionist mindset when it comes to those specific eyeshadow formulas. And I do have a little bit from all different price points in this bucket. And I even have one that I'm going to throw in here as an honorable mention, just because I also think that they're great. When I really thought about my top 5 formulas and the reasons why I purchased from these brands over and over and over again, I thought about it along the lines of consistency, pigmentation, how long they stay on my eye, so longevity, how well they blend, how much they maybe transfer, what their fade time looks like. The eyeshadows that I like are very consistent in nature. No matter what, I know I can pick up a palette from them and it's going to be a palette that performs for me no matter what. I also really thought about the pigmentation of said products. I like, my personal preference is a shadow that is super pigmented that I can put on and blend out. There's not going to be any problems doing that. I can tap it in and then blend it. I don't have to continue to go back in to pop more color in because it just doesn't want to blend out and still remain pigmented. So that was one thing for me. The longevity of a shadow, I really need eyeshadow to stay on my eyelids for a good 10 hours. When I am working, that's about the length of time between me getting up and putting on my makeup to me getting home or to my hotel room and not caring what happens to my makeup at that point. So I really need it to give me a good 8 to 10 hours of wear, more like 10 to 12 hours of wear. So those are kind of some of the thought processes that I put into picking my top 5 formulas. And I honestly, you guys, it wasn't hard for me. The only reason why I'm putting in a 6th one is because it's one of those brands that I think really has the wear time. It's one of those brands that I think really has the pigmentation, and their shimmers are phenomenal most of the time. But it's that consistency factor for me that pulled them down into the number 6, like, honorable mention mark, because they're not super consistent, if I have to be honest. So I'm gonna start with a formula that I have a lot of and know a lot about, but I have it in singles. So this whole singles container is filled with Sydney Grace shadows. And this is the matte side. This would be the most, in my humble opinion, the most consistent single eyeshadow formula that I have. And I don't have many, so I'm going to start there. I have some Sydney Grace, I have some Colourpop, I have some ABH, and I love ABH. I have them listed otherwise in this collection, so I wanted to go with these. I have a couple of Hikari. I have tried other single eyeshadow formulas, but this is the eyeshadow, the single pan eyeshadows that I have the most of, and this formula is just spot on, phenomenal. Right down to also their shimmers. So these are the shimmers that I have in the Sydney Grace formula, and then these are the mattes that I have in the Sydney Grace formula. And they're just so beautiful, so consistent. I don't have to wonder what this eye look is going to look like, what this formula is going to look like. I know that it is going to be spot on. So this is one of their mattes and this is one of their shimmers. And this, oh, one swipe, you guys, one swipe. There's no primer on my hand. One swipe, that matte, it's not patchy. It's a green. It's not patchy. It's beautiful. It's just one swipe deliciousness. And then this is one swipe deliciousness on a shimmer. Look at that. Like, there's no fallout. There's no chunkiness. There's no patchiness. These are just phenomenal shadows. If you guys have not yet tried Sydney Grace, you really, really need to jump on the bandwagon. I have several items from Sydney Grace. I have some highlighters from them, powder highlighters. I do have some pigments from them. I have some glitters from them. I have a couple blushes from them that are stunning. I have some cream eyeshadows from them that are also amazing. Like, you guys, they are just so good. They are just so good. So what I would say is that they have a Christmas and July sale that they do often, and that's where I pick up the bulk of my Sydney Grace items, is in their Christmas of July sales. I missed this last July. I missed that sale. I don't know how I missed it, but I did. But for 21 days, I do believe they have a different sale every single day, and maybe it's 12 days. They have a different sale every single day, and it is phenomenal. And that's how I picked up most of my Sydney Grace items. This is a really good price point. Their single eyeshadows are like $6 a piece. They have come out with palettes since I started purchasing from them. When I started purchasing from them, they didn't have palette form, so I don't have any palettes from them. But their single eyeshadows, their everything is just phenomenal. Their blushes, their highlights, their cream eyeshadows, their pigments, their glitters, their everything I have tried from Sydney Grace has been a winner. These are in no particular order, by the way. Like, Sydney Grace isn't my number one, but it is in my top 5. The next one I want to talk about is Juvia's Place. So this is the Juvia's Place Tribe palette. You can't get it anymore, but I really wanted to try and pull palettes with greens, just so that green is phenomenally hard to formulate and formulate well. Purple is also phenomenally hard to formulate and formulate well. So a lot of these brands have formulated greens really well and purples really well, and I know that I can go into their purples or their greens and they're going to perform just as well as their reds and their browns. So there's that. I did pull the Tribe palette, not for any other reason other than it is the green palette. I do know that you cannot pick this one up anymore, but I have like 10 other Juvia's Place or 12 other Juvia's Place palettes that excite me. They excite me every single time I look at them. They are really great as far as formulation. They're super consistent. Their pigmentation is amazing. You don't have to use a white base with them. Their shimmers are amazing. Like, there's not a whole lot that I can say poorly about Juvia's Place. If you guys watch my palette roulette series, I have palette rouletted or reviewed almost every single Juvia's Place palette in my collection, and I don't think that there's anything I have said poorly about the brand, except for like these pan sizes are giant. Like, you're never gonna go through them, and if that's the worst thing that I could say about a brand, then I guess that's not a bad worst thing. But their mattes are just so so pigmented, so buttery. Let's do this one here. This is shimmer. I mean, you guys. So here's that matte. One swipe. Here's that shimmer. Again, one swipe. So when I say greens are super hard to formulate, I really hope that you have seen that said over and over and over again with other YouTubers, because they really are. So when you have two brands here on my hands with two green matte shades that are not patchy, not powdery, just pure perfection. Like, I hope you understand, again, where I'm coming from with the consistency of these brands. So this is a brown from the Juvia's Place. It's kind of like a mustardy brown, but this brown and that green perform exactly the same. And that should say something about a brand's formula. When they can perform a formulation of a harder shade to formulate as well as they do an easy shade to formulate, then you know they're a good formula. And their price point is really, really good too. And they go on sale all the dang time. So this palette might be like, let's say it's $16. I think it might be 16. It might be 20. I don't know. They go on sale all the time. You can find them at Ulta on the sale all the time. You can find them on their own website on sale all the time. This brand also has some really great like complexion products as well as lip products. This is an all-around easy brand to, if I only had one brand, you know, kind of market strategy, this would be it. I've got that video coming very soon too. So next for me is Lunar Beauty. So I picked out the Life's a Drag because it does have, you know, harder shades to formulate, easier shades to formulate, and some shimmers in it. I just picked up the last two palettes that I didn't have to complete my collection from Manny's brand, Lunar Beauty. I love this brand. I love the formulation and all the shadows. I love his shimmers. His highlighters are crazy awesome. I do have the Greek Goddess collection highlight palette. I bought that whole collection when it came out. His lip glosses are the best lip glosses on the planet, but eyeshadow formula also amazing. So this is the Life's a Drag palette. I'm actually going to swatch for you my least favorite in this palette, which is this one, and this is probably the worst shade that he has in his repertoire. And then we'll do that one there. So I did this champagne-y shimmer and then this like teal blue. These are them right here. Again, this is probably the worst shade in his repertoire, but it is still like such a good shade. I did have to swipe over the top of that. It is kind of a powdery shade, but I don't care about powder. As long as the pigmentation, the consistency, the longevity, as long as that's all there, I don't care if it's powdery. This again is the worst one in his repertoire, and look at how awesome this shadow is. Like, it is just such a beautiful tealy blue color. And then his shimmer, what? Look at how wet that looks. Look at how amazing that is. Like, Manny, how does he do this? Like, even my least favorite palette by him is a gorgeous palette. My least favorite palette by him is the Greek Goddess palette. It was his first holiday collection. I bought the whole collection. It's probably my least favorite palette just because of the color story of it. I don't find it exciting. I don't want to use it a lot, but it is still a beautiful palette with beautiful formulations. So this is a color that's super hard to formulate. It is the worst one that he has, but it's still beautiful. And then his shimmers are hands down one of my favorites. Well, duh. This is my top 5 formulas, right? The black in Lunar Beauty. Look how black that black is. That is probably the best black in my collection. Look at how black that is. I just can't with Manny. Next, ABH. You that watch my channel have to know that this is one of my favorite formulas because I have every single palette from ABH that has come out in the last 3 years. I love ABH. This is my favorite of the ABH palettes, and this one doesn't have a green, but it does have a really beautiful purple down here that is a beautiful purple. They know how to do purples. They also know how to do browns really well and shimmers really well. So the one thing that I will say about this formula that nobody loves, oops, how can I can't. I have to wash that off and put it on my other hand because I am swatching on this hand. Nobody likes their formula because their formula is powdery. That is what I hear over and over and over again. Their formula is so powdery. Well, yeah, their formula is powdery. But you know what? They have one of the best formulas out there. Their formula is powdery, but that doesn't take away from them at all as a brand. The pigmentation is still there. The consistency is still there. The longevity is still there. They perform really well. They're a powdery brand. They're super powdery, but their pigmentation does not lack because of the powderiness of them, which I find with a lot of brands that have super powdery formulas. So this is the purple in that palette. Such a great purple. And then this, it's like cyborg, steampunk. This is the best palette. This Jackie Aina palette is the best palette. But again, this formulation for shadows is probably in my top 3, honestly. I just love the pigmentation in their shadows. I love that they're consistent. I love that I can count on the fact that I can blend them with ease. I love that they're not super grippy in the pan. I love that even their pressed pigments perform well. I love this brand. So I know that ABH has become somewhat of a controversy lately with like mentioning them, like they're canceled or something like that. Here's what I have to say about that. I'm here for the makeup. I love ABH eyeshadows. I will never stop wearing ABH eyeshadows. I love them. Unless they, you know, become the new Jeffree Star. That was bad. My 5th and final formula that I love, besides my honorable mention, this is the Natasha Denona Gold palette. And you guys, I know that when we look at this, we see a whole bunch of browns. But do you see this beautiful green here and this beautiful green here? Those are the two I'm going to swatch.
God bless, I did it on the wrong hand again.
This should give you some indication of why Natasha Denona is the best. So these are the two shadows. This is the matte, one beautiful teal green swipe, and then this one is the shimmer. I just, how are these not the best performing, the best pigmented, the most consistent shadows in anybody's collection? Like, I just can't with these. And you guys see those purples and those greens, like, they're so beautiful. One swipe, you guys saw me do it. Like, these are the best. They really are. I do have a ranking my Natasha Denona's video coming up very shortly. I did have a comment down in my comment section asking me to do it, so I'm gonna try and do that for you guys very soon. The brand that I want to give an honorable mention to is BH Cosmetics. Like, this was on my top 5, and then I was like, I don't know if I can put them on a top 5. And the reason why is because up until recently, they weren't in my collection. All of the rest of these have been part of my collection since, well, like, I've been buying Lunar Beauty since it first started. I have been buying the rest of them since, like, I got into makeup. Sydney Grace, I didn't start buying until a couple years ago, but they've still been a part of my collection for a couple years. BH Cosmetics is not one that came into my life until pretty recently. They have amazing palettes for such a low cost. So again, greens being really hard to formulate. Let's just take a little looky at these two. So this is that like Kelly green from that palette, and this is a green shimmer from that palette. So what I would say is that shimmer isn't as good as these shimmers, but it's still a really good shimmer, and for the price point, it's a great shimmer. And that Kelly green, again, no patchiness. There's no, I mean, you can see a little bit of patchiness here at the end where my, you know, finger stopped pulling along my skin, but such a great brand. I just think that for my top 5, and even for this palette, this brand in my honorable mention category, these really are amazing formulations for shadow. For newbies, these would be the formulas that I would suggest, besides maybe the ABH ones, because the ABH ones are really pigmented and a little more powdery and can cause frustrations for new players in the makeup market. All the rest of them, these are the formulations I would suggest to people who are new to makeup, who don't really necessarily have the wherewithal to know how to blend appropriately, don't really necessarily have the indication of a good color story to go together. These brands pretty much blend themselves. They are amazing eyeshadows to work with, and I wouldn't pick any other brand to be part of my top 5. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that my choices are good choices, but what would be your choices? I would love to know what your top 5 formulations for eyeshadows are in your collection. Thank you guys so much for coming to watch me today. I know that you don't have to be here, so it warms my heart so very much that you all come to spend a little bit of your time with me. I hope that you liked it enough that you're considering giving it a big thumbs up. It really does help our channels. It's totally free to do, and it might give, you know, YouTube some inclination that, hey, people like her. Let's shoot her out to the universe and see if we can get her some more subscribers. Like, it's really going to help my channel grow if you do give it that thumbs up, but also leave me a comment down in the comment section, because that also helps. I do hope that you guys liked it, or me, enough that you're considering subscribing before you go. I would love to have you as a part of my wonderful YouTube family here, my crazy midlife crisis. I would love to see your comments down in the comments section. I would love to talk to you down there. Regardless of whether you subscribe or not, please leave me a comment down there. I really would love to talk to you. Also, if you do subscribe, please don't forget to hit the notification bell. It will give you some kind of notification every single time I upload a video, so that you're not missing anything. And I would hate for you to subscribe to my channel and then not see me in your feed. So please do hit that notification bell. I hope that you guys are all doing fantastic. I hope that you and yours are well. I hope that you guys are wearing your masks when you're out there in public, if for no other reason but to keep you all safe, because I would hate if anything happened to any of you. I hope that you guys are loving each other, but loving each other from afar. And until next time, bye guys.
Oh, look at my hands. Bye guys. It sounded like I said bug eyes just then. Now I've got to try and get all these colors off my hand. Man, I need to pull out Life's a Drag again. That is from the BH Cosmetics. Everything stains.